The video opens. The screen is black, or shows a slow, eerie zoom on a vintage toy box. Sound of a faint, distorted music box melody and subtle static. There is a friend you trusted absolutely as a child. You told them your deepest secrets, and they guarded you from the monsters in the dark. But what happens when you grow up and forget them? What happens when that forgotten friend, that silent keeper of your innocence, decides it's tired of being left in the dark, and finally tries to talk back? This is what happened when my oldest, most loyal companion reached out from the past. And his first words were, "You left me." The static crackle of a forgotten memory, that's what it felt like. It started with a dream. Not a nightmare of monsters and shadows, but a perfectly clear, sun-drenched dream of my 7th birthday. I was sitting on the floral carpet of my old bedroom, and in my hands was Mr. Wiggles. He was a patchwork rabbit, one button eye perpetually loose, his velvet fur worn soft in all the right places from years of fierce, unconditional love. In the dream, I was hugging him, and I could smell that unique scent of childhood, dust, love, and faintly of strawberry shampoo. But then his one good eye, a glossy black button, swiveled in its socket. It wasn't a dreamlike blur. It was a precise, mechanical movement. It fixed on me, and a tiny stitched mouth seemed to tighten. I woke up with a gasp, the name Mr. Wiggles on my lips, a name I hadn't spoken in over 20 years. I shook it off. A trick of the mind, I reasoned. The stress of a new job, of moving into this old inherited house that still smelled of my grandmother's rose potpourri. But the dream clung to me, a cobweb on the soul. Later that day, while unpacking a box of my mother's old china, I found it. Tucked beneath yellowed newspaper was a smaller cardboard box, and inside, wrapped in tissue paper that crumbled at the touch, was Mr. Wiggles. A cold dread trickled down my spine. I hadn't seen him since we moved away when I was 10. My mother must have packed him away for safekeeping. I lifted him out. He was exactly as I remembered, frozen in his perpetual, lopsided sit. His loose button eye gave him a look of gentle melancholy. It was just a toy, a collection of fabric, thread, and stuffing. I set him on the dusty mantelpiece as a quirky, nostalgic decoration, trying to bury the unease his sudden appearance had caused. That night, as I drifted into a fitful sleep, I heard it. A faint, rustling sound, like dry leaves skittering across pavement. It was coming from the living room. The rustling was gone by morning, replaced by the mundane chirping of birds outside. I convinced myself it had been the house settling, or a mouse in the walls. I went about my day, but my eyes kept drifting to Mr. Wiggles on the mantel. He seemed ordinary. Yet, a part of me was hyper-aware of his presence, a silent sentinel in my home. That evening, I decided to watch some television to quiet my mind. As I flipped through the channels, I landed on a block of harsh, buzzing static. I was about to change it when a voice emerged from the noise. It was thin, high-pitched, and distorted, as if played on a worn-out tape recorder. "Hello." I froze, the remote heavy in my hand. It was just a random signal, a bleed-through from some other broadcast. "Can you hear me?" The voice was a child's voice, but wrong. It was my own voice, the one from old home videos, but stretched and warped, stripped of all its warmth. My blood ran cold. This wasn't a coincidence. I stood up, my heart hammering against my ribs, and walked towards the television. The static seemed to pulse, and in the chaotic dance of black and white pixels, I saw a fleeting image, a close-up of a single black button eye. I stumbled back, yanking the power cord from the wall. The room plunged into a silence that was somehow louder than the static. From the mantelpiece, I heard a soft thud. I didn't need to look to know that Mr. Wiggles was no longer sitting upright. I spent the next day in a haze of fear. I researched online, falling into deep forums about haunted objects and psychological phenomena. I found stories of other people who had experienced similar things, their own childhood companions reaching out from the void. They spoke of toys moving, of electronic devices glitching, of dreams that felt too real. One post by a user named Static Child simply read, they get lonely in the attic. In the dark. They forget how to be loved, and only remember how to need. The words sent a shiver through me. That night, I was determined to prove it was all in my head. I took Mr. Wiggles down from the mantel and placed him in the center of the kitchen table, under the bright LED light. I set up my phone on a tripod and started recording. I spoke to him, my voice trembling. "Mr. Wiggles? Is that you?" Nothing. Just the silent, patchwork rabbit under the harsh light. I felt a wave of foolish relief. It was stress. It was all in my head. I stopped the recording and went to bed, leaving him on the table. The next morning, I reviewed the video. For the first hour, it was just a still image of a toy on a table. But at the 1 hour 7 minutes and 23 seconds mark, his head tilted. A slow, deliberate movement, impossible for his floppy, stuffed construction. Then, his one good eye swiveled and looked directly into the camera lens. A moment later, the audio picked up a whisper, clear and chillingly close to the phone's microphone. "You left me." I deleted the video immediately, my hands shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone. He wasn't just trying to contact me. He was angry. The contact became more aggressive. My radio would turn on by itself, playing only that distorted, childlike whisper, repeating my name. I would find my childhood photographs arranged on the floor in a perfect circle, with Mr. Wiggles placed in the center. The air around him always carried a faint, chilling cold and the ghostly scent of strawberries. I knew I couldn't live like this. I decided to destroy him. I took him down to the fireplace, a box of matches in my hand. As I held him over the kindling, a wave of intense sadness and guilt washed over me. I saw myself as a child, clutching him after scraping my knee, whispering all my secrets into his soft, velvet ear. I had loved him once. He had been my confidant, my protector from the monsters under the bed. And I had abandoned him in a dark box for decades. Was this his revenge? Or was it a desperate, twisted cry for connection from something that should never have gained consciousness? My resolve broke. I couldn't do it. I dropped the matches and sank to the floor, weeping. As my tears fell, the static from a nearby baby monitor I never owned crackled to life. The warped voice was softer now, almost pleading. "Don't cry. Come play. Come back to where you left me." I finally understood. He wasn't trying to haunt this house. He was trying to pull me back into his world, the world of my own childhood memories, a place that no longer existed. He was a ghost of my own past, and his loneliness was a bottomless pit. That night, the dreams returned, stronger than ever. I was back in my 7-year-old body, in my old bedroom. Mr. Wiggles was there, but he was different. He was larger, his stitched smile now a grim, straight line. The room around us was decaying, the wallpaper peeling to reveal not plaster, but a swirling gray static. "Stay," the rabbit said, his voice now a chorus of my own childhood laughter and the whisper from the static. "You never have to grow up. You never have to be lonely again." It was a siren's song, a terrifyingly beautiful offer to escape adult responsibility and pain. I felt myself being pulled, my sense of reality dissolving into the nostalgic void. But at the last moment, I saw the loose button eye, and I remembered the real Mr. Wiggles. Not this monstrous entity, but the silent companion who had absorbed all my childhood tears. I looked at the thing wearing his skin and I whispered, "No." I woke up on the floor of my living room. The house was silent. The static was gone. On the mantelpiece, Mr. Wiggles sat exactly as he had the day I found him, inert and silent. The connection had been severed. I keep him there still, a monument to a battle won. But sometimes, out of the corner of my eye, I see his head has tilted, just slightly, as if he's still waiting, listening for a response to a call I can no longer hear. The contact has ended, but the silence he left behind is the most frightening thing of all.